Welcome to Heavy Talk. I'm your girl, Heavie Charnice, aka Heavy, and I am back another episode of Heavy Talk. Here to save up some more straight talk with no chaser. I'm going to get right to it on this episode, give you your inspiration, your word of the day of the episode. The word of today is commit. Don't have one foot in and one foot out. Fully commit. Commit to yourself, commit to your plan, commit to your dreams. Imagine how successful or effective you could be if you fully commit. I don't even think that I even need to say anymore because my word just said it all. For daily inspiration, for daily words, make sure that you follow at Heavie Charnice on Twitter, and make sure that you follow also HeavieTalk on Instagram, Twitter, or X, and Facebook. Now let's get into this episode. I want to start, unfortunately, on a somber note. Sad, somber note, but we have to absolutely get to this because it is important. Both of these situations I want to talk about, I want to start by saying thoughts and prayers and condolences to all that have been impacted by these situations. First, something that's unfortunately becoming a reoccurring situation. There was a racially motivated shooting in Jacksonville, Florida. Now, I don't want to place blame on any particular person. I would never really want to place blame on someone for another person's act of violence. That is, I feel like, is a very strong thing to do. But in this case, I feel like it's not far-fetched and it could be warranted. This shooting happened in Jacksonville, Florida. The person who committed this shooting, who killed 3 African Americans, they found a manifesto, and in that manifesto, it had very, very serious racial undertones where it made it very clear why he did this and the hate that he had for African Americans. The reason why I say it's not really far-fetched to place blame on a particular person, that person is a governor of Florida, Mr. DeSantis. Like I've talked about on episodes of Heavy Talk time and time again, all that the governor of Florida has done, all of his policies that in large part have limited African American history, whether that's at the college level, AP, or whether that's just, elementary school education. It seems like he's done everything that he can to try to restrict African Americans and the teaching of African American history. So it is not that far-fetched, as I said, that someone down there in that state would commit such an act. Because if you're listening to your governor and you truly believe in all that he's saying, you might feel like, motivated, or you might feel inspired by all that the governor has been doing. And that's honestly the very, very sad part. And this is something that maybe people could have seen coming. Not that long ago, the NAACP issued a travel advisory for the state of Florida. I talked about this also in the past Heavy Talk episode. I talked about it when the Florida chapter of the NAACP voted for the official NAACP to issue this advisory. And then I also talked about it when the NAACP actually issued it. And when they issued it, essentially they said Florida has become a very unsafe place for African Americans because of the governor of Florida. From his teachings, from his laws, from his policies, the NAACP said it then in a very strong statement. Keep your dollars out of Florida. If you live there, you might want to get up out of there. If you plan on traveling there for a vacay, maybe want to warn against it because it's become a very unsafe place for us. Literally what the NAACP said not that long ago, and here we go. Less than a couple months later, racially motivated shooting has happened. So condolences to all of those who lost loved ones or may have been impacted by this, because it's getting exhausting to keep talking about things like this and just to see all that's being done in Florida and how people are losing Florida as the blueprint. We talked about this with Arkansas. Told y'all about what the Oklahoma superintendent said, how he's trying to model his curriculum based off of states like Florida. So it's in Texas. Let me not forget to mention Texas. All just like You honestly just can't catch a break. It's a lot to keep up with, and it gets to be very mentally taxing. Another situation that is getting to be extremely mentally taxing, that's becoming something that's happening too common, is school shootings, threats of school shootings. It's honestly a lot. It's sad. You would think that that one of the main places that should be safe is a school. Like, people are just trying to get their education. No parent, staff member, family member should ever have to worry about someone coming in and committing a school shooting. That's honestly ridiculous, and it's a shame that more hasn't been done to stop this from continuing to happen. So if we're not familiar, at this point, maybe a week ago, there was a school shooting that happened at UNC-Chapel Hill, the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. The school was put on lockdown. So when there was reports that the school was put on lockdown, this became like a viral story. Everyone was talking about it, just looking to see what was going on, because there really wasn't much that was coming out while it was ongoing. So this touched me on a very deep level because I graduated from North Carolina A&T. So UNC-Chapel Hill is very close to me in the sense that I know people that have gone there, graduated from there. So when I heard that it was happening, it immediately touched me to see if everyone that I knew that was there was safe. So this was very hard for me, and I'm sure that it was very hard and difficult for the students that had to live through it, for the faculty, for the family members of the students and the faculty. It's taxing again, and it's a lot. What I will encourage you all to look at, if you have not done so already, the next day, I believe it was the next day, the cover of the school's newspaper was text messages that were sent either to students or that the text messages that the students had received during this incident. It was very, very, very deep, just reading all of the text that the students sent, just expressing how they were scared, how they didn't know what was going on, and just to see what the message that they got from their family members, from their friends. It was just like, I couldn't imagine being in a situation like that and just feeling helpless. And I can only imagine if you're a parent, just feeling helpless, like, what can I do? If you're thousands of miles away, like, it's just a terrible situation. So thoughts and prayers to any of those that were directly impacted by it. If it was a triggering for you, hopefully, eventually, Congress can do something about these school shootings and make it to where this is not becoming a common reoccurring thing almost on a monthly basis here. We're hearing of either a school shooting or a threat of a school shooting. Like, it's very, very sad. Now let's move on to a little bit of political news. The picture that was seen around the world, 45's mugshot. My. Now, this is not the first time that 45 has been indicted. Believe one of the times he was indicted, in addition to all of his other ones, when he had those classified documents. I'm sure we've all heard about that. I've talked about that on the past episode of how he was just wild for that. But in like all of his other indictments, this one, he got a mugshot. The unfortunate thing is, this kinda only seemed to like benefit him, to his base. After this mugshot came out, his base just ran wild with this. His donations went all the way up. It's like, at this point, there is nothing that he can do for his base to just leave him, to abandon him. Like, he can do no wrong. There have been so many incidents of the things he has done where they just seem to dig in their heels more, and they will not quit. They will not give up with him. Like, he could do anything, and they're gonna be like, all right, cool, I'm still voting for Trump. Like, it's so bizarre. It's getting scary. We talked about his careless use and his carelessness about classified documents. We didn't talk about completely just trying to put that doubt in the whole democratic process, when absolutely that's not okay, and you're just being like a sore loser. You know how many candidates have lost, and instead of just taking their L They all took their L. They didn't say, oh, it's fake, oh, it was rigged. This man couldn't take his L. He goes to expecting it was rigged. Like, who does stuff like that? Y'all let him get away with that. He basically incited that January 6th insurrection at Capitol Hill. Y'all just let him get away with that. Y'all let him get away with all of his very provocative comments that I won't even mention. Y'all let him get away with that. Y'all let him get away with some of them other, accusations against him that I won't mention because they are very triggering to some, maybe. Y'all let him get away with that. Like I said, there's like nothing that he can do where his base will just abandon him. It seems like the more that he does, the more that they're gonna like stick beside him. Like they're not gonna leave him at all. And that's the very scary part, because I'm scared of what they're gonna do if he does get the, Republican nomination and he loses again. Like, what are they gonna do? The last time y'all stormed the Capitol. What are y'all going to do this time? It's scary. I'm scared for what's going to happen after this election. Seriously. OMG. Another aspect of this, though, that I found to be very interesting and very shocking for me because of who decided to finally take a stand. There were calls from some Republicans and some Trump allies for the governor of Georgia and the people in Georgia to call a special session to investigate the DA who is bringing this case against 45 and his associates. Of course, there are so many more racial undertones for this because the DA who is bringing this case against Trump and his associates, Fani Willis, is in fact a Black woman. So we can already see what's going on here just to start there. Now, Trump allies and other Repubs, they wanted the people in Georgia, the people in authority in Georgia to call a special session to investigate this DA simply, honestly, because they don't like the fact that she is bringing this case against him. I admire her courage because I know, well, I don't know, but I would bet money that she was facing all types of pressure to try to kill this, to try to just let it go. And instead she stuck to her heels. She said, I'm doing it. I don't really care what anybody say. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to take a stand. I know that took courage. So shout out to Fani Willis. You are doing the darn thing. We should all be as brave as you. I will, even though I never thought in all my days I would give him credit, but I will give Georgia Governor Kemp some credit because during a hurricane pressure, he completely squashed any idea of a special session that would target Fani Willis. Like, even though all of the Trump allies have pushed for it, he's like, no, we're not doing it. He was quoted saying, and I quote, a special session of the General Assembly to end run around this law is not feasible and may ultimately prove to be unconstitutional. He went on to say, I have not seen any evidence that Fani Willis's actions or lack thereof warrant action by the Prosecuting Attorney Oversight Commission. As long as I'm governor, we are going to follow the law and the Constitution regardless of who it helps or harms politically. What a stand to take. If Governor Kemp can do it, who's a Republican, a lot of these other Republicans can take a stand and just call out what's wrong. Like, just say, y'all, a lot of these Republicans, when he was saying that the election was rigged, should have came out then and said, you are totally BSing here. This is very unsafe. You're charting into unnecessary and ridiculous and dangerous territory and waters. But not enough of them stood up and took a stand which could be here while we are here now. You give somebody an inch, they're going to take a whole yard, they're going to take a whole football field. So here we are now. It's gotten even more and more ridiculous. A lot of those same people that should have stood up were in danger when those people stormed the Capitol. Literally. I don't even want to say it, but thank you, Governor Kemp, for finally taking a stand. I know that for you too, that was difficult. I know that he gonna face some backlash from his fellow Republicans. I just know he is, because I'm sure they didn't like that. I'm sure that they didn't. Something else that I did like, just on the strength of my ish is my ish. You just can't take it. You just can't use it. That's not how that works. Copyright, all of that. No. You can't do that. Eminem sent a cease and desist to a Republican presidential candidate who was using his popular song. Eminem said, what you're not gonna do is like tie us together, or people thinking that I'm like siding with you, or that my views are your views. That's what you're not gonna do. So here's a cease and desist. So like you're not gonna do this anymore, or you're gonna have to face some very strong repercussions. Like you may have to pay some bread if this is what you're gonna do. Love that. Love that for Eminem. I just think, and it's even more ironic, I find this to be even more ironic, because this same candidate in question who used Eminem's song is the same one who had the tense exchange with Don Lemon on CNN, which a lot of people had said that exchange that Don Lemon had is why he ultimately got fired from CNN. This is the same Republican candidate, the same one that I've talked about before, which is the one who said that he would raise the voting age to 25. It's giving real Jim Crow to me. That's what it's giving here. Following along similar lines, similar story, a country singer by the name of Oliver Anthony. He is the singer of Richmond, north of Richmond. He spoke out after his song was used at the first Republican presidential debate. Republican or Democrat, really any party, I like this, because don't just be using people's songs, intellectual property, any of that, because it gives the effect of I am aligned with you, when that could completely not be the case. Like, don't do that, because then it falls on the person, because then people will think where they use this song, so they must, the singer must be like with them. It causes the singer to come out and say, especially if you're not with that, to say, I don't agree with that, I don't rock with that, that's not my stance. It causes you to have to do that. What Oliver Anthony said was, he actually recorded a video, so go check that out and hear from his own mouth. He said, it was funny singing my song at that presidential debate, because I wrote that song about those people, so for them to have to sit there and listen to that cracks me up. It was kind of funny seeing the response to it. Going back to my point of, this isn't a Republican Democrat thing across the board. He made clear, because of course once he said that, people were like, so you're saying that you're with Biden, or you with the Dems. He made clear to say, by saying what I just said, I'm not saying that I'm standing with Biden. That's not what I'm saying at all. He made clear that. He went on to say, that song had nothing to do with Joe Biden. It's a lot bigger than Joe Biden. That song written about the people on that stage and a lot more, not just them. And what I will say, the song is actually decent. I downloaded it. Actually is a pretty decent song. Might want to go check it out. let's get into sports. Let's lighten this all the way up because we've been pretty heavy, no pun intended, with the topics. Like I said, almost every episode here now, we have an update on either Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharpe. Like every episode now, I have like a new update. And here I am again with yet another one. Skip's show Undisputed on FS1 with his new lineup finally premiered, and we were able to see how the combo of Skip Bayless, Michael Irvin, Richard Sherman, and Keyshawn Johnson, how that just all came together. While I won't do a full breakdown because this is not a sports podcast, what I will talk about is a viral clip that I'm sure that we've all seen of when all of the commentators minus Skip were all talking in a very heated exchange, and Skip wasn't able to get a single word in. That is unlike the Skip we know, where he can't even get a word in on his own. He was just sitting there looking befuddled, like, was this a good idea? I can't even talk on my own show. The part that had me cracking up, the TL was like, Skip is a moderator on his own show. It's nothing wrong with being a moderator, but I highly doubt that when he put this, show together with this lineup, that he thought that he was gonna be able to speak, because he barely got a word in. Maybe once he has a chance to just do more shows with these co-hosts, they'll find their rhythm and he can be able to get more words in. But for that first one, it was absolutely amazing just seeing Skip just sitting there just trying to figure out how he could dive in the combo. That was almost comical. And maybe he see how it felt when he was the one that was just talking, and the other people couldn't get a word in. You don't know how it really feels maybe until you're on the other side of that. We also were able to see Skip's show finally with Lil Wayne on it, because the reports also came out that Lil Wayne will be doing the show every Friday, and reports also came out that he made the new theme show for the show. Will say the song is fire. One of the coldest theme show songs that I've heard maybe in all of my life. Never heard a theme show song that, I don't know why that's a tongue twister. The song is hard. Go check that out. Let's get into controversial comments that have just rocked the whole sports world. The notion of the NBA calling their champs world champs. Now, Noah Lyles, I want to start by giving him his credit, because the unfortunate part is when Noah Lyles made these comments, he overshadowed his whole moment. People may know more about the comments that he made than the actual greatness that he achieved, which even caused him to be at that podium speaking. That part was almost completely missed, because all that we've been talking about is what he said, and to some just how ridiculous his comments were. But I want to start by giving him his credit, because credit is due. Noah Lyles became the first man to complete the 100 meters and the 200 meters at the World Champions since Usain Bolt. Now, we all know how much of a legend Usain Bolt is. So to see Noah Lyles be the first man to do what he did since Usain Bolt did it, it deserves a clap it up. He deserves his credit. But we're missing giving him credit because of the comments that he made. Let's get into these comments. When talking about his victory, all that he's did, just his sport, his fellow teammates or colleagues, and trying to give them credit and himself credit, he said, and I quote, "What hurts me the most is I have to watch the NBA Finals and they have world champion over their heads. World champion of what? The United States. Don't get me wrong, I love the US at times, but that ain't the world. Now, quite a few people had a problem with what he said almost immediately. Noah, he was trending. Sports commentators, sports analysts, I believe even Stephen A. Smith said something about this, and I believe that Stephen A. Smith did not agree with him. Then we had NBA stars coming out and just clowning him. Kevin Durant said something, Devin Booker, Damian Lillard, among others. Everyone has something to say, and I would, if I'm giving it a percentage, maybe 75% of what was said was just clowning what he said. What I will say is, in theory, semantics aside, and we're speaking on a technical level, what he said is true. And it's true because the NBA literally plays against other NBA teams that are in the National Basketball Association. When NBA teams are trying to fight to become an NBA champion, they're not competing against other world's national basketball team. They're not. They're competing against other NBA teams. So taking what Noah said, how are y'all world champions then? You're just NBA champions, not world champions. The argument that I've seen quite a few people use in trying to say that what Noah said was wrong is, well, like, NBA has a lot of, overseas players who come across all across the world. So in theory, they're basically world champions. That could be true. The NBA does have a lot of overseas, foreign players, but even still, you're still not world champions. I've also seen the argument of, well, if the NBA did compete against other world national teams, they would win. Well, shoulda, coulda, and woulda. We're not talking about that. We're talking about literally what he said. They're not world champions. They're NBA champions. And I even saw a quote from Coach Pop not long ago. We know Coach Pop is a legend, where I believe it was like in 2010, Coach Pop said the same thing. The NBA, when they win championships, they're not world champions. They're NBA champions. So why is it so different when Noah said it? Now, granted, he overshadowed his whole moment. And why did you use your moment to talk about that? Like, I don't understand why that would even come up in your brain. You took all the shine off you, overshadowed your whole moment for this. Now, people know more about what you said than what you actually did on that day. Last but not least, with the sports, let's talk about Coco Gauff. Don't I love to see Black girl magic, Black women doing great things, just knocking it out the park, just rocking the world. I absolutely love to see it. I believe that we are watching a tennis great on the rise. Coco Gauff, remember her name. She will be, she's gonna be one of those, okay? Like a Althea Gibson, a Serena Williams, a Venus Williams. She's going to be one of those if she's not already. All eyes were on Coco Gauff not that long ago because a viral video went all across social media of her speaking out to an umpire during a match. What I got from the video, because I watched it, I would recommend you watch it if you haven't done already. Coco spoke out to the umpire because all through the match, she was keeping her cool. She was just letting things slide with her competitor. After a while, it got to be ridiculous. She didn't think that the umpire was doing enough, so she finally spoke out. And the few things that she spoke about was her competitor was taking extra long on her serves, which is disrespectful. And she said, I don't really care what she's doing on her serves, But on my serve, she needs to be ready. And she has a point. She said it's become a constant thing. She's also spoke about how the umpire was taking forever to call the score. Now, I don't know that much about tennis, but that's what she said. That's what she said. She also talked about how her competitor was sitting down when she was not supposed to. She said she's not supposed to be sitting down. That's against the rules. Why is she sitting down? This became a viral clip, and people were drawing comparisons to what Serena went through and how these situations seem eerily similar to what Coco is going through, where this is what Black women have to deal with, especially in tennis, just the lack of respect, how they're often disregarded. And again, this goes to the Tom Brady, when he says stuff, he's passionate. When Odell says something, he's being aggressive. Same thing here. You know, some of people took Coco. It was unnecessary. It was uncalled for. She didn't have very good sportsmanship. But again, to me, it's the same situations where we Black people, we can't speak up for ourselves, or we're going to be looked at as a certain way, when honestly, F it. They're going to have something to say anyway, so you might as well stay true to yourself and speak up for yourself and do what you think is right. Coco, keep doing your thing, keep putting in Black girl magic on display, and keep inspiring generations, me and younger girls who look up to you, who maybe want to become tennis players just like you are doing the darn thing. Continue to be great. Now let's get into all the things that hate me like WTF, because the streets have definitely been raging. More sports related. NBA referee Eric Lewis. This is the most strangest, oddest WTF thing that I've seen in sports in a little bit. NBA referee Eric Lewis, it had became a social media thing. It went viral where people felt like they found a Twitter account where he was defending himself and other officials. After this account was found, the NBA launched an investigation into it. Now, this referee, Eric Lewis, has retired effective immediately. The strange part is the NBA said that they are ending the investigation. I'm calling BS. I'm not buying any of this. To me, in my opinion, there was some truth to it, so they made the man quit, and they made him retire, and that's why the investigation has been ended. What they're trying to say is because he's no longer a referee, the investigation does not need to go on. It's just the timing. Sometimes stuff just feels fishy, and this definitely feels fishy. WTF. Mitch McConnell, sir, are you all right? Are you all right? Mitch McConnell froze again. Not that long ago, he was mid-press conference speech, and he just froze. His own people didn't even realize that he had frozen. He stood there frozen for quite a bit. When this happened, Mitch McConnell's team was just like, he good. Everything is all good. Less than like 3 months later, I believe, the man has frozen again live. Then these people had the nerve to come out again and say he's fine. Joe Biden was even like, he good. He don't have any concerns. Why do these people keep trying to play in our face? Do they think that we're slow? No. WT in the F. This is why there needs to be an age limit, an age requirement. This brings me back, makes me think about this lady. I didn't even write this down, so I'm sure that I'm going to say this wrong. I think her name is like Diane something. She was in the hospital for a very long time. Couldn't nobody, like, she wasn't doing any real work. Then she finally came back. Then the reports came out that, you know, she like fell. The lady just wasn't looking well, but she's still in office. Republican, Democrat, bro, if you're not well, you should not be in the office. It's doing an injustice to the people when you're in office. We could have somebody in there who's competent, who's well, who can get the job done the right way. It does us a disservice. It just sets us back, and it makes a mockery out of the whole system. Like what? Like, it's baffling. Just speaking of like WTF, like foolishness, like it just gets more and more foolish. Like sometimes I see why other countries think that we're just a joke. They just think that we're just clowns, especially after the 45 presidency and all the things that he was doing. It's just like it's no wonder. Iowa schools are demanding parental permission if kids want to use nicknames. This is as a result of an anti-LGBTQ law. Let me read what the email that a parent was sent said, because I was like, this is beyond me. The name of the person that this was sent to, this name was bleeped out, but it says, "Dear something family, in accordance with Senate File 496, we are required to inform you of students who are requesting to go by a nickname or a name that is something other than what is listed in Infinite Campus. Today, Joseph requested that he be called Joe in class. However, because that nickname was not provided in Infinite Campus, we need your permission in order to grant the request. Please complete this form to grant request and get the nickname approved. Thank you for your support." WTF. This is what we are using our taxpayer resources and money to do when people out here dealing with poverty, homelessness, hell, you can't even get free health care, and we're wasting our resources on things like this. Are you kidding me? Hugh Hefner's widow, claims he went deaf from using too much Viagra before his death. Now, what a shame is that, where you can go deaf from using too much Viagra. And what I read is what the widow said isn't far-fetched, because they say studies have shown that this is possible. That's unfortunate. You're just trying to get, right, and you just lose your hearing. Wow. Tennessee House Speaker shoved, allegedly, even though I seen it on video, but gotta say allegedly shoved one of the Tennessee Three, Representative Justin Pearson. If you're not familiar with the Tennessee Three, go do your research. It was caught on video when he shoulder bump Representative Pearson. Now we just putting our hands on people. Then after this, what makes it equally as WTF, aside from him putting his hands on somebody, which is like assault, the House Speaker came out and said, that's not what happened. As if we did not see it on the video. Again, do they think that we're dumb or like blind? We synced it on video of him practically, allegedly shoving the man. WTF. Like, and if you know about the Tennessee Three, it's like, really? Now, if it was the other way around, Justin Pearson would have been behind bars. They would have tried to throw the whole book at him. Like, seriously, the privilege. In some irony, in something that's funny. Sorry, not sorry. A white girl. It was a white girl that went viral. It was a viral TikTok of this white girl that got box braids. Now, when a girl got box braids, a lot of Black people, specifically Black women, told her, first, not only is this not healthy for your hair, like something could possibly go wrong with your hair because it was not suited or created for your hair. It was created for Black hair, Black women, Black culture. That is, when people tried to tell her that, she got nasty. Very, very nasty. They tried to tell her that. Not only is it not good for your hair, it's also inappropriate, insensitive, and it's just not okay. Cultural appropriation. Like, you just can't do that. The girl didn't take the advice. The girl didn't take it well. Instead, she just made a mockery out of us. She dug her heels in. She basically said, forget y'all. I'm going to do what I want to do. Be offended. Be not offended. I don't care. I'm doing it anyway. Well, in an update, the white girl took a video of her taking down her hair. Her hair got so matted and knotted up that she had to cut her hair. Well, look at there. After you was born, see, now look what you get. The jokes write themselves. WTF. Miguel, I put this on us because clearly we're not streaming Miguel's song enough if these are the things that he feels like he has to do to promote his new album. I know y'all probably heard about it at this point. Singer Miguel, Adorn Miguel. How many drinks Miguel? Hung from like a stage with metal wires during a performance. WT in the F, Miguel. No, no, no. Promote your album another way. Now you got your back all scarred up. And I'm traumatized. Seeing it, I was traumatized. That wraps up everything that had me like WTF for today's episode. And unfortunately, we've come to the end of today's episode. Hope that you enjoyed it. Make sure that you're out here, like our word of the day said, committed to yourself, committed to your dreams, committed to your plans. Make sure that you're staying safe. I'm your girl, Heaven Sharnice, aka Heavie, and I will catch you here, same place, same time next week for more Straight Talk with No Chaser. I'm Heavie, and I'm out.